Hey, Western New York, you thought after, 7 games, 28 quarters of football, we'd be done this weekend, but that's not the case. We have a little more for you, and tonight we are really excited, at least I'm really excited, to welcome in Kevin Maxwell from the Connolly Cup as we reveal the top 10 finalists for the Connolly Cup. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us, and thank you to you and the Connolly Cup committee for allowing us to reveal who are the finalists for this award.
Appreciate the opportunity, Francis.
All right, Kevin. So before we get started with the list, let's take a moment to talk about what the Connolly Cup is. Obviously, you're handing out your 54th edition of the award. Talk about a little bit about the history of the award. It's named after William R. Connolly, and then just the committee and the selection process, how it goes.
Okay, so the Connolly Cup Committee has been recognizing Western New York's outstanding high school football players since 1972. Connolly Cup has become one of the area's most prestigious awards. During the past 50 years, the Connolly Cup Committee on a weekly basis has been recognizing the area's best players in Western New York, as presented by committee members, area coaches, and others who have the opportunity to submit their information for consideration. During any given week of the season, we usually have upwards of three dozen players who are recommended for Player of the Week consideration. It is from that list our chairman sorts through the recommendations each week and selects the top 15 individuals for recognition as a Connolly Cup Legends Global Player of the Week for outstanding performance, leadership, and attitude. At the end of the season, our committee engages in a process to take approximately 150 Player of the Week candidates and determine the top 20. We then meet. Committee members are given the opportunity to present information on each player they feel are top 20 candidates for the season. At the end of the Western New York Championship games, each member is required to present their top 10 candidates for a final tally and selection into the top 10 of the class of 25, which is where we are today. It is from this group that the William R. Connolly Memorial Cup is awarded to the most outstanding player of the season. The process undertaken gives recognition to talented athletes from the shores of Erie and Ontario to the border of Pennsylvania. We have 25 dedicated members who view games in person or via digital outlets that present live and recorded games. We view approximately 250 games in a season. This year's top 10 selection was one of the most difficult and unified votes of record within our committee. We have selected a great group of individuals who represent the character and dedication it takes to be recognized as a top 10 player in Western New York. It is a privilege for me to take part in this process. On behalf of the Connolly Cup Committee, I want to thank all the players, coaches, parents, and schools for a great season of competition and commitment to the respective communities in 2025.
Kevin, we have 10 players. It's always 10 finalists that make it to the banquet that is happening December 9th. We'll have more information on that at the end of the show. It kind of reminds me a little bit. We just had a few months ago the conclave to select the next pope, and you guys are kind of in that room. You're talking it out. Obviously, we're waiting for the list. Just talk a little bit how those discussions went, even to get it to the top 20, let alone the top 10. What were some of the themes of those conversations this year that maybe weren't there in years past?
Well, I think this year there was a general consensus of who the top 20 players were, who really stood out in the 10 weeks prior to our meeting. We meet the Wednesday before the championships at Rich Stadium or Highmark Stadium, and everyone has the opportunity, and I think it was very engaging and informative. We did have some difficulty, as we usually do, in the 15 to 20 bracket, which would mean you're eliminating potentially 5 players that went out to 25. But I think our coverage this year was spectacular. We had several committeemen go out by themselves. You didn't have many group get-togethers unless it was a big game. So we were really able to dial in what we believe to be the best of the best in the top 10.
All right, without further ado, we'll get started, folks. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do these. We're going to release the players one by one, and we're going to go in order, alphabetical order by school. So this is not, don't think of it as the player that goes first is more likely or the player that goes last more likely. We're just doing a straight alphabetical order by school name. So let's get started. Our first finalist we're going to talk about just won a sectional title. He was a 3-time selection this year. It is from the Bennett Tigers, Jimmy Valentine. I mentioned it, 3-time selection. Obviously, Bennett has been at this banquet quite a few times over the past few years. Tell us about Jimmy Valentine. Why did he make this list?
Well, Jimmy Valentine's a senior running back for, as stated, the section Class AA championship team. Mr. Valentine has delivered an outstanding season on both sides of the ball. He's finishing the Western New York season with 1,531 rushing yards, 20 touchdowns, 8.6 carries average per carry, and 41 total tackles on defense. My opinion of Mr. Valentine is effort, determination, and energy. That is how I have viewed and watched Mr. Valentine this season.
You know, it's interesting, Valentine. He kind of reminded me, had a similar season to Jaden Lewis. Maybe not quite the numbers or explosiveness, but in terms of, he started out the year kind of more as a receiver, and then as the year went on, they kind of moved him into that running back role, and he became a bigger and bigger name. Does that make it tough when maybe, a guy's numbers at the beginning of the year aren't quite there, or maybe he's not getting the touches, and then all of a sudden by the end of the year you're like, oh, you look up and wow, this guy's really good?
Well, there is difficulty when you have a team that talented. However, when given the opportunity, Mr. Valentine took it on and absolutely crushed it on the running back side of the ball.
All right, so Jimmy Valentine, our first finalist from the Bennett Tigers. They've had 2 winners of the Connolly Cup, 2016 Isaiah McDuffie, and then 2023 Jameer Thomas. Bennett has 7 finalists since 2014. All right, move on. Our second finalist has been to the banquet twice before. He just became the Monsignor Martin leading rusher last night, and folks, I think you figured it out by now. No surprise here. It is Elijah Kimball from Canisius. Several Division I offers, including some major schools like Ohio State. Kevin, I know this is a simple answer, but Elijah Kimball, why is he here?
Well, Elijah Kimball is a junior running back. He is now a 3-time Connolly Cup finalist and a finalist for the Monsignor Martin championship game played on Saturday. Mr. Kimball continues to stand out on both sides of the ball. His 100% effort on every play is noticeable. His level of vision, patience, and acceleration are outstanding. His leadership is by example. Talented young man who currently has 1,525 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns, 9.3 yards per carry, and 35 total tackles. He appears to do it with ease, but he does give 150% effort at all times.
Yeah, certainly a phenomenal, 2-3 years. 3 years hasn't been finished up. Obviously, this Canisius team has St. Francis on Saturday for the Monsignor Martin title, but this kid came out very strong his freshman year. He really hasn't fallen off ever since. I mean, he's what you want in a running back. He's not super big, but he's close. He's close to the ground. He's fast and he's powerful.
Totally agree with you, Francis.
All right, so that's Elijah Kimball. So we have our first 2 finalists. Elijah Kimball, of course, was named a finalist his freshman and sophomore years. He's now a junior. Our next one is from a school that they won the first Connolly, ever Connolly Cup winner came from the school. It is Eden, and the finalist is their quarterback, Brady Waring, who has been lighting up scoreboards all year in Class C North. Why did Brady make this list?
Well, Mr. Waring led a talented, explosive team this year. His leadership and commitment to his team is to be commended. He exemplifies heart and appreciation of his teammates in the game of football. his production this year on offense included 867 yards rushing, 2,623 yards passing, 53 touchdowns in total, and he had a completion rate of 63.6%. If you got a chance to watch this young man and his talented wide receivers, no score was out of touch with them. They could come back at any time. He truly led this team to its quarterfinalist position.
Yeah, this was one of those teams, kind of the surprise teams of the year that really took a jump after being down for several years, and he's of course a big reason why. I can, when you talk about no lead, the offense he put up, immediately the game that comes to mind is the Maritime Tapestry game where there was that 63-62 shootout that he led in, and I don't know if you were there for that game, or I can't imagine how long it took.
I was not present at the game. Eden is actually my neighbor. However, I did watch that game, and everything was just as it was described by the committeemen who were on the site.
So Eden, Brady Warren from Eden is the third finalist. 3-time selection. The first ever Connolly Cup was won by Eden's Don McGee back in 1972. Their last winner and their last finalist was Kyan Williams back in 2003. All right, so that is our first 3 finalists. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have the next 4 finalists, including 2 whose schools have won this cup in the past 5 years. This is the 2025 Connolly Cup Reveal Show on WNY Athletics.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
All right, welcome back to the 2025 Connolly Cup Finalist Reveal Show. We revealed our first 3 finalists. If you're just joining us now, don't worry. At the end of the show, we will show the list of all 10 so you know who they are. But let's get started with our next batch. Our 4th finalist comes to us from the Class A runner-up, the Health Sciences Falcons. It is Kavion Pitts. Kevin.
Yes, Kayvon is a senior running back for the, as mentioned, Class A finalist team. Mr. Pitts was a dynamic runner every time he touched the ball this season. His speed and elusiveness created opportunity on every carry. Hard-nosed football comes to mind with this player, and you work to bring him down. Very difficult to tackle. His production this year was 1,662 yards gained, 24 touchdowns, an average per carry of 13.2 yards every time he touched the ball. Now, I will point out that those stats did not include the game of the championship game. They were unavailable at this time. Dynamic player.
When I think of Health Sciences, really, they've had a lot of guys who have kind of fit the bill, and I think that speaks to certainly the line they've had and what Coach Ty Parker has, really the program he's put together. When you see, a team like that year in, year out has running back or running backs that move the ball well, how much, I hate to steal credit from people, but how much you put that on, hey, that guy's got a really good line versus he's got a really good line, but he's taking advantage of it.
Well, the great thing in communication when you talk to these running backs is the first thing they do, and I know when you interview them, it's all about their line. Without their line, I'm an old lineman. Without the line, that ball doesn't move. Okay, and obviously the talented running backs on this list have tremendous offensive lines.
All right, moving on. Our next finalist comes from a school that, has been to the banquet several times. They have a winner just in the last few years. We're talking about Iroquois, and we're talking about their quarterback, Justice Kleist, who has put on amazing numbers over his career at Iroquois. I think probably 5 or 6 school and maybe a couple Western New York records that he's had. Tell us about Justice Kleist.
Well, Mr. Kleitz is a 2-time Connolly Cup finalist, and they did make the semifinal game, which was as exciting as it gets to the end. He had an impressive season and led his team with grit, determination, and leadership. He's been a pleasure to watch over his career, and his productions this year did not disappoint. He finished with 422 yards on the ground, 2,561 yards passing, 41 touchdowns, and a pretty impressive 69% completion rate. He's been dynamite since the day he hit the field as a freshman.
And, of course, Justice's younger brother, Trey, also was the quarterback at Iroquois, I think I saw in my notes that Trey was also a finalist as well. I know Trevor Berry won the Cup in 2022, so obviously a lot of history with Iroquois. They've had a great program over the past 10 or so years and have been at this banquet. Our next player, we're going to move up to class. Kevin, did you have any final thoughts? Okay. We'll move on to our next player. A player who had from another school that has been to the banquet quite a bit. A player who was at the banquet himself last year, and a school with I counted 21 finalists in their history. We are talking about Chase Bonta from Jamestown, your next Connolly Cup finalist. Kevin.
Okay, Chase is a senior running back, 2-time Connolly Cup finalist, and a Class AA finalist team. Mr. Bonta is a two-way player with boundless effort and determination when he takes the field. His refusal to be tackled enables him to produce an incredible amount of yards after contact, which is a very good measurable for anyone who wants a hard-nosed running back. He's a team leader that commonly leads statistically on both sides of the ball. He finished with 1,534 yards rushing, 27 touchdowns, an average of 6.4 yards per carry, and 92 total tackles on the year. We're always impressed. He's one of the hardest working players on any field that we watch, and he's very deserving of this opportunity to be selected.
Kevin, I think if you were going to the Merriam-Webster dictionary and you looked up the word workhorse _football, I think you see his picture right there. The amount of carries he had throughout the season, he was literally their workhorse. There's no better way to describe how much he did for that Jamestown team, and he really carried them to the stadium this year.
Absolutely. He had 238 carries, to be exact.
That's a lot. That's a lot of hits to take.
That is a young man you trust with the ball.
That's exactly that. All right, so Chase Bonta, our finalist here, what is that? Number 6 finalist. One more finalist for this block before we take another break. We're going to go to the City of Buffalo, a team that just won a sectional title. We're going to Class A. It is Kalon. Did I say that right? Kalon Ford, quarterback from McKinley, your next Connolly Cup finalist. Kevin, tell us about Ford.
Kalon is a senior quarterback for the Class A championship team. He has been a major contributor to his team's success this season. He shows tremendous poise, leadership, and determination every time he stepped on the field. I was at the Riverside game, which was a McKinley
against
Willys game,
Willys,
which was a monsoon, and Kalon kept that ball in his hands and never turned the ball over, which was very impressive in just the rain game. His ability to extend plays with his speed and football IQ is what is really impressive to me. Always focused, always looking downfield. He's lightning quick when he doesn't have an open receiver, and he takes off. He finished with an impressive 1,402 yards rushing, averaging 11.5 yards per carry. He also threw for 1,785 yards in the air, 29 touchdowns, and had a completion rate of 57.9%. Very excitable player, fun to watch, and another player who is never really out of it and has an impressive team around him.
Yeah, you think of the resurgence of McKinley the past few years. He's really been at the forefront of it, taking, McKinley to the stadium 2 years in a row. Obviously, they finally get the win earlier a couple days ago. But yeah, really the resurgence was with him. Remember his last year, his running mate was Tyrone Hughes. He graduated. I think a lot of people thought, is McKinley going to take a step back? And they really didn't. You could argue they got even better, and a lot of it had to do with him. And obviously you got some new pieces in, but a lot of it had to do with him.
Absolutely.
All right. That will take it off here. All right, that will do it for our second block of the finalists. We are 7 through. We have 3 more to go. When we come back, we'll have the final 3 finalists for the 2025 Connolly Cup. This is the 2025 Connolly Cup Finalist Reveal Show on Western New York Athletics.
Look, Patriot account is not going to close itself. Looks like you're going to be here late again. I need this by morning.
Oh no, not again. My son has a football game tonight.
WNYathletics.com. You can link me later.
WNY Athletics, your home for high school sports.
Yes.
All right, welcome back. Final segment of the 2025 Connolly Cup Reveal Show. Francis Beck and Kevin Maxwell from the Connolly Cup Committee to reveal our finalists to us. We have revealed 7. We have 3 more to go. And then if you're just joining us, we'll reveal all 10 right at the end of the show so you know who they are. All right, well, let's get started. We're going to go up to Niagara County for this one. And Kevin, the realization came to me last week thinking about this player. He has the perfect last name for what he did this season. And we're talking about, from Newfane, Max Capon, the quarterback. He's one of the leading rushers in Section 6. He's a quarterback, Kevin.
That is correct, Francis. Matt Capon is a senior quarterback for the Class D championship team. Mr. Capon is a two-way player who makes everyone around him better the way he leads by example. And he is an explosive runner who provides impact when tackled, runs with determination, and is not an easy takedown. Defensively, his speed allows him to cover sideline to sideline. He's a player that every coach would want to have on their squad. As you stated, he finished with 1,640 yards rushing, averaging 13.9 per carry, had 940 yards passing, 36 touchdowns, and had a completion rate of 59.3%. In the games that I observed, and there were several, I believe I was live for at least 2, every time Mr. Capon enters the line of scrimmage, he seems to come out 4 yards past the initial hit. I don't know anyone that has done what he has done for a team in carrying it and helping them to their first Class D championship at Highmark Stadium.
Yeah, really a great performance. And, I was looking back at the history. The last time Newfane has ever had someone at the banquet, he wasn't even born yet. And I think that really shows you how much of a resurgence we've seen from Newfane over, obviously, Coach Chuck Dangle doing a great job there, that he's kind of led them. And, Newfane isn't a program you guys probably spent a lot of time on the past 2 years.
That would be correct. I'm as impressed. The Newfane-Wilson area, Little Loop, has obviously produced some tremendous players. Most of the players on both these teams played together in the youth programs. So I thought that was very interesting.
All right, Matt Capon, the only Class D player in the finalists this year, of course, leading Newfane to its first ever sectional title. All right, next one was a player that wasn't even in Western New York last year, but he came in and he's really made his name known in the Monsignor Martin and all of Western New York, and that is the quarterback for the St. Francis Red Raiders, Trent Buttles.
Well, Trent is a junior quarterback for the 2025 Monsignor Martin Championship finalist team. Mr. Buttles is a dynamic two-way player who has been a major contributor to his team's success this year. Focused, determined, excellent field vision, and explosive when he runs the ball. Patient, takes off only when necessary, and when he takes off like a bullet. Defensively, he supports everything that gets to the second level. He's a leader by example and provides grit and determination on every play. Currently has 522 yards rushing, 8.3 yards per carry, 1,407 yards through the air, 22 touchdowns, and a 59.2% completion rate. He has 62 total tackles on the year to date.
Yeah, I just saw Trent for the first time in person yesterday in the semifinal overtime, and you kind of mentioned it. He was, he's not afraid to run it, but he's very comfortable sitting in the pocket and throwing it downfield. You don't see quite that balance oftentimes in, high school football. Usually the guy has a primary and then a secondary, but, he really, he's really able to take what the defense gives him, and he's such a great fit for that St. Francis team, and really impressive that he's able to come in 1 year and really just, be able to have hold of what he needs to do there.
Another example of an excellent offensive line that gives him the time to potentially go to a third receiver, as you saw yesterday when he was hitting the tight end
in stride.
In stride, right? In stride, yes.
All right, that brings us to our final finalist, and this player was at the banquet last year, but Kevin, he was with a different team. We are talking about St. Francis's running back, Tyrone Clark Jr. Of course, he was a finalist last year with Lackawanna. He transfers to St. Francis, and the success continued for him. He finds himself back at the banquet.
Tyrone is a junior running back, two-time Connolly Cup finalist with this selection, and will be a competitor in the finalist game for the Monsignor Martin. Mr. Clark provides excitement every time he touches the ball. His speed, patience, and field vision enables him to explode into the second and third levels. A leader by example on both sides of the ball, he never disappoints when he's on the field. Currently has 1,043 yards rushing, 8 yards per carry, 16 touchdowns, and 13 total tackles.
It's nice to see that he got those stats, and he was sharing the backfield for most of the year. Obviously, Buttles, who is also a finalist, and then Dominic Cook, who had transferred from Joe's, was also key part of that rushing attack. So, and very impressive to see the numbers that Clark was able to put up in what you could call a crowded backfield.
I would say this year, every time that Clark went down, Dominic stepped up, and it's the same as we go into the final. Tyrone has stepped up tremendously. He has immense talent and a very, very humble young man.
All right, let's put up right now that list of all 10. You can see it right there, the 2025 Connolly Cup finalists. Jimmy Valentine from Bennett, Elijah Kimball from Canisius, Brady Waring from Eating, Kayvon Pitts, Health Sciences, Justice Kleiss, Iroquois, Chase Bonta, Jamestown, Kalon Ford, McKinley, Matt Capon, Newfane, Trent Buttles, St. Francis, and Tyrone Clark Jr., St. Francis. Kevin, you look at that list, it's officially out there. What kind of impresses you most about that group of young men on your screen right now?
Well, every one of those players provided performance, leadership, and have positive attitudes each and every time they step on the field. Truly contributors to the success and willing to work within the parameters of their offense and defense to have success as each team had throughout the season.
All right, so the winner will be announced at the banquet. That will take place Tuesday, December 9th at Ilio DePaulo's. For the players out there watching and their families who just realized that they got an invite, where can they go to get more information?
Please go to our website for additional information. There you will find communication avenues for our chairman, who will lead you to how to get tickets. Everyone is welcome. And please come out and celebrate the success of each of your players.
Kevin, always, a great way to kind of wrap up the end of the year a little bit. Obviously, we have that banquet followed by the Trench banquet, usually is later in the week. And then a few weeks later is the Dick Gallagher banquet, who the folks can see it on the screen
Gentlemen,
right behind
over
you.
my shoulder.
Yes. And that's coming up. I believe that's the 13th of December. So I think it's all in that week. So kind of that great week to really just, put a nice bow on the season, which, I think was, a ton of fun. I admit it took me a couple weeks to figure out who was who, especially in some of these divisions. We had a lot of teams really kind of break out this year, and now we're kind of winding down. But Kevin, I do want to, people ask about this a lot, the voting process and what counts towards it and what doesn't. Can you, give us, because there have been, sometimes in the past where we get to after the state title and we think, man, that kid had a really good year, but the voting doesn't go to the state title game, correct?
That is correct. The Section 6 official voting stops at the stadium. It is a Western New York generated trophy and recognizes against competition of Western New York. And, of course, with the extension of the Monsignor Martin, we will be evaluating the players who have been selected to the top 10 on Saturday at the championship game. After that, we then go into a lockdown, per se, and we will be given ballots and given a time to submit our ballots, and then we will tally them, and only at the banquet does anyone know the person who won. Even the committeemen will not know until the banquet, which is excellent.
Did you ever get nervous like the days before the banquet, or like, and I know I voted, but someone's going to get revealed and I have no idea it's going to go the way I think it should?
Not at all. There's no nervousness. You submit. You go on your gut. You go on your instinct. You've seen enough. You've heard enough. Make your votes. Submit them, and let the best man win.
All right, Kevin. I just want to put that on the screen again. Those finalists for 2025, 10 finalists every year, and they win that trophy, which you kind of see in the background there. I think that was either last year's or 2 years ago's trophy, and you can see I put the logo, Western Athletics logo, where the card is. That kind of blocks out the name. I think that's the coolest thing, that they have it blocked out there. They really don't want anyone knowing. But that's a pretty nice trophy.
It's nice hardware to take home.
Yes, it is. Huge. I remember seeing the picture of Matt Myers with it, and it was almost like as big of his shoulder to his head.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so again, that's your 2025 Connolly Cup finalist. Kevin, before we go, any final thoughts on these 10 finalists, or just on the season that obviously the Section 6 season that is wrapped up?
Well, I think we had a tremendous season, especially the weather. The weather cooperated this year. I know the officials were very pleased with the nice autumn that we had. But the competition and the crowds predominantly were excellent. And I look forward to next year. I look forward to seeing our teams advance. Hopefully they all win state titles.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone should be very proud of what was produced this year. And we look forward to a selected individual and the next year.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations to the finalists. Remember, the banquet is December 9th. For more information, go to their website, or you can ask your coach. They probably have information, or they can get in touch with the Connolly Cup Committee for information on the banquet. But certainly a great night, folks. I just want to say this, whether, when December comes, whether or not you win, it's still a fantastic night to be with your peers, to, really meet the volunteers and the men and women who kind of help, put this all together and, just, put together kind of those lessons from what football has taught you and just, kind of celebrate it. That will do it for us. For Kevin Maxwell from the Connolly Cup, thank you for joining us. I'm Francis Beck. This was the 2025 Connolly Cup Finalist Reveal Show on Western New York Athletics.